Hey you guys, it's Dani. Today, we are finishing up our tarot side of the 2021 collection. Whew. Here in our least used, or not yet used, collection, you will find the decks that maybe came into my collection late in the year that I did not get a chance to use yet, or didn't quite use a whole lot to give any sort of opinion as to where they would go. You'll also find decks that I just didn't use, which then leads to some questions of whether or not I want to keep these, or if it was just one of those times where I didn't use it but I still love it kind of idea. I also added in my Lenormand and any other like non-tarot or oracle in my collection. I added it to this pile. I was going to do that for the oracle, but I think I can do all the oracle in one shot. So I'm going to do that. So I didn't want to tag on to the end. It's not a whole bunch. I only have like 2 Lenormand, some playing card stuff. So nothing too crazy. Anyway. I know what y'all are waiting for. Let's get on with it. Here we are ending our tarot collection for 2021. Let's go ahead and get started with some that I used a little bit this year, but just not very much. Let's start with Tarot of the Sweet Twilight. This is one that I was also gifted, and while I didn't use it all that much this year, a lot of that was because I was busy trimming and edging the deck. What I did for this one is I took my stamps and a metallic Sharpie and I colored on my stamps, and then I stamped the card to show which one it was, because I didn't like the big navy borders on this one because it had all the different languages on it. It was really distracting. I really just wanted to see the card, you know what I mean? So this deck, it's right up my alley. It's very 90s. Somebody else was telling me that too, and I was like, oh my god, you're so right. This feels like everything I saw in the 90s. Like, I'm thinking video, like music videos and artwork. It's just very reminiscent of that. And so it kind of felt at home. Let me see, when was this done? Oh, 2009. So yeah, it's after, but it does still have those vibes. So I really appreciate this deck. Next is the Wooden Tarot. I didn't use this one this much this year. I do really enjoy it as a deck. I love this Queen of Blooms. So we do have different suits in this deck. We have bones, plumes, blooms, and oh god, is it earth? Let me see. Stones. And so I really do love this artwork. It is very strange. It is animal heavy, but it's weird animal heavy. So it just hits different. While this is one of the majors and the gods, which is in place of the aces, I freaking love so much. I love their court cards and stuff, and I do use them quite often normally through the year. This was the first year that I really slacked off using it, and like now I'm wondering, like, am I moving on from this place? But then I see stuff like the world. Oh, and then I'm like, maybe not, but maybe so. I don't know. I do love the plume suit. It's very expressive. I love the bones. The stones I'm like here and there with. They're mostly like antlers and horns. The blooms are obviously blossoms and things like that. But there is some crazy strangeness. I love a good bat. I love a good moth. Beautiful High Priestess. Oh my god. I do like all the little mushrooms and stuff growing. So, like, there is still a lot about this deck that I do love, but I feel like I need to revisit it in 2022 and kind of see where it lies. Does it still speak to me in the same way? I still love the art, but is that enough? You know what I mean? Up next is the Black Cat Tarot. This was sent to me by the creator. I do really adore this little deck. It is so stinking cute. So while I didn't really use it this year a whole bunch, like a handful of times, it was still really enjoyable, and I do love the golden black. Like, I like that a lot. I like it a lot. So this was a fun little addition. I don't know, like I said, I don't know if I'm going to use it a whole bunch, simply because it's a very light style, and I don't often use lighter styles as you know, whimsical as these most often. But I do think that there is a good place for it here. Let's talk about some inner child tarots. I have papers and stuff in here. So I have, this is really heavy. Hold on. Oh, it's the little white book on the other side. Okay. So here is my Nicoletta Ciccoli, and I still love this deck. I just didn't use it very much this year. I didn't do a whole hell of a lot of inner child work in 2021. I touched on it here and there, but it wasn't an extreme amount. And I find that if I'm not doing that, if I'm not working with some sort of like shadow, then I don't use this deck very much. I did watch Dawn Michelle's video at Boho Tarot, for those of you who don't know, who restructured the Nicoletta Ciccoli, which is why I have this printed out and shoved in there, because I am still considering doing this. And if I don't end up doing it, I'm still considering, oh my god, hold on. Fighting with that. Okay. I am still considering maybe, just maybe, taking the borders off, rounding the edges, and doing the stamped numbers and stuff on these cards. So I am still considering that. Next, in the same type of inner child category, I put the Luna Soul Tarot. This is from Liminal 11. So I was very surprised by this deck. And I was very surprised that I was called not only to use it for myself, which I did enjoy some inner child stuff where I kind of explored a little bit of this, because it definitely reminds me of like Rugrats time, if that makes any sense. Like, I think it's just the way that it's drawn. Some of these patterns, like, it makes me think of, you know, watching the Rugrats or Nickelodeon and the Wild Thornberries and all that kind of stuff. It just has that vibe for me. And I did use it for a few clients, which I thought was very interesting because I didn't know how much I was going to be drawn to it. But I didn't use it a whole bunch. So I did it for that, and I did use it for some clients, and I'm still a little on the fence. I am way more convinced that there is use in this in my practice. I'm not saying that there wouldn't be use for this deck. Everybody has their own opinions and aesthetic and the way that they read. I'm just talking from my practice alone, which, I mean, I know you guys know, but I just wanted to clarify. That for me, I don't know if there's a whole lot of space in my collection for this, especially when it comes to these few inner child kind of decks, where I feel like for me personally, maybe not reading for others, but for me personally, it is a very limiting deck. So I don't know. I think maybe I need to pit these three together and kind of decide which one I want to go with and which one would be more beneficial moving forward. So there's this one and then the next one, and that's Mystical Melodies. And you know, this one, honestly, I feel like this one and the Nicoletta, depending upon what I decide to do with it, if I do decide to go Oracle with it and like go completely different, then this may be one I'd want to keep for inner child work. But if I decide to keep it as a tarot, I'm probably going to go with the Nicoletta. But if I wouldn't, this is going to be probably the second runner-up, if I'm being honest. I enjoyed this tarot so stinking much. I really did. It's just so vibrant, and I love the kind of absurdity that's in there and all the faces. It's got some just adorable things, and it's very RWS. I love the little ghost. It brings me back. Again, I think of Felix, like, I don't know. Even now, like, just going through this, I'm just like, oh, maybe not. Maybe this one is where it's at. Because, like, I literally become a child. When I look at this, I'm just like, everything that I flip, I'm just like, I feel like I've seen it before. I feel like I've watched the cartoon. I feel like I'm familiar with these characters and that they almost move for me. I know I'm, like, gushing over this. And I didn't use an extreme amount. I did use it kind of clustered, but I don't know. The more I see it, the more I like, it's really joyous for me. And I know this is way more childlike than the Luna Soul, but I think this is more reminiscent to the cartoons that I loved. I don't know, but this one just brings more joy to me. I can't really put my finger on it. Because then I could argue, like, Rugrats is, like, my favorite thing. I loved, watching Nickelodeon as a kid and all those times. But, man, this really does something for me. So, yeah, I'm really going to have to think about these. Okay, up next. Oh, I had this on my blanket, which is very furry. And it's got full of hairs. This is the Spellcaster's Tarot. This is going nowhere. I love this in my collection. I just didn't use it very much this year. I'm not really sure why. Maybe it just kind of never came up. But I'm so attached to this deck. I don't know. It's like nothing else that I have. Well, and I say that. But like, if I had to put it in a place right now, I would probably group this together with Terra Volatile and the Somnia Tarot. I think they all give off this almost deep occult vibes, more so than probably any other ones that I have. There's just like a certain energy about it that makes me feel, I don't know, witchy, maybe? Keeping on those same vibes of, like, loving a deck and just not using it this year, my Tarot de Marseille Parpolka. Like, oh, I didn't use this. I know people hate this, or they love this. There's really not a lot of in-between. There's just a lot of tomfoolery in here. This is so fun. This is one that I shall never part, I don't think. If I do, it will definitely be surprising to me. It is just an enjoyable, quirky, macabre deck. And it's so enjoyable. But I just didn't get a chance to use it. But I didn't use a lot, like an extreme amount of kind of Halloween-y decks or things like that this year. I really didn't. Not like I've done in the past. And so, I don't know, I think I just missed my time. That's what I really like to use this one around, because it is quite macabre and quite absurd in some way, shape, and form. Let me gloss over that other one. People don't like that one. But I have a great time with it. And so, this is another one that I feel will stay even if I don't use it at all during the year, or a very small amount. I just feel like when I want it, I totally want it. And that immediately makes me think of this Hayworth Tarot. So I didn't use this one this year either, because I had my other ones, but this is another one that is just weird and lovely. And no, I haven't listened to the podcast just yet. I have a lot of people that were asking me about it. I have not listened yet. I think I want to. At first I was like, I don't think I want to. I don't want to like skew my own interpretations of this deck because they're just so unique. But now I kind of do. So I don't know. I'm still a little torn, but this is still just a really fun deck. And I absolutely love the storytelling and eerie feeling that it brings. I don't know. It makes me want to sit with this and just like pull a few cards and create stories. Like, using it in a completely different kind of way. Up next, one that I didn't use this year was the Beautiful Rebellion. I don't know if this one's, maybe it is. Yes, I'll have it linked down below. I think this one has come out in a new edition with different words, like different titles on them, which is going to be incredibly neat. I still love this one. I'm not a huge fan of the yellow, but at the same time, I'm not mad at it. I still adore this deck. Maybe it's because the revival art has really taken the place, especially now that I have both editions. I feel like that may have taken the place of this deck. And so I'm just not gravitating towards it as much. Yeah, I still really do love this deck. I just didn't pull it out. Maybe I need to pull this out again. Pull this out this year. See where this takes me if I can do this again, or if I'm gonna want to let it go because of the other ones that I have in my collection. Now this little beauty shall not part, but I had it in the back somewhere, and I didn't use this one very much this year. I don't know if I ever pulled it out this year, but I love the Mesquite Tarot. There are still rumors and murmurs that they will do another printing of this. I'll link down below where you can kind of keep up and, keep checking in on it. I really do hope they do. It's such a great little deck. Really small in the hands. Really expressive while still being so simple. Muted palette. It's everything I want. Really great guidebook with it. A nice chunky guidebook. So unfortunately, right now, this is out of print. But like I said, they've been talking about it. They've been actively talking about a new one. I don't know. Oh, sweet Nightmare Before Christmas. Okay, so I forgot I have everything in here. My guidebook too. Okay, so I did edge this deck. I didn't use it. I didn't use it for Christmas time or Halloween. Because it's hashtag both. That's what I say. Oh man. This artwork. Abigail's artwork is some of my favorite. And just flipping through this, again, I'm like, oh, I regret. I was really thinking, I'm like, I'm probably going to get rid of this deck. I'm not going to use it much. I think that maybe because I didn't grab for it, maybe it just didn't make a good enough impression. But now I'm going through it again and I'm like, no, I really do love this. Oh, man. No, I really do. And I know this is not about, like, culling my collection right now, but at the same time, like, I'm constantly thinking about it because, like I said, right now I just feel like it's inflated. While it's not an extreme amount in the scope of, so many people, I have to put mine away every time a storm comes. I have to pack them up and bring them with me, and I just have to keep them a little tighter. So we'll think about that for another day because I really like the artwork. Here's one for the chopping block in one of my moon bags. This is the original. It's called the Original Tarot. This edition, here's the back. This is just an RWS. It was like digitally remastered. They kind of fixed and cleared and solidified the RWS. And while I appreciate the clarity and the colors of this deck, I don't use any. Just like I had the Albano weight, I loved the colors. I love the colors of that one, but I didn't pull it out. That one because I feel like it does have a tendency to be less than good line quality, and the way that it was printed, sometimes it's kind of off, but that's just like part of that deck's charm. But for me, it kept a block there because it felt messy sometimes. And this one, as much as I appreciate it, it feels, I don't know, too computer generated, maybe too stark for me. And I just really prefer the Centennial Edition. Another one that is gonna go, I think, I'm pretty sure, is the Wild Unknown. I know I don't even need to show this. Everybody's likely seen this a bazillion times. But just for old time's sake, we have the Wild Unknown. And Kim Krantz has some of the best artwork. I love her line work. This is one of my favorite 3 of Swords. But I don't know. I needed it for a time. And I just don't feel like I need it now. I really have been drawn away. And the more I take it out and like consider it, the more I'm like, nope, I'm not going to use this anymore. As much as I love the artwork, it's just not for me anymore. And that's okay. That's okay. Up next, the Tarot Muka. Or Mucha, however you want to say it. This is one that I have had off to the side in kind of a limbo, if you will. This is another one where I use the crap out of this deck so much. But I just think that my time with it is done. I feel like what I needed it for and the way that I used it was so beneficial. I learned so much from this deck. I found out a bunch of things that I really look for in a tarot, things that I don't care for, and it really just taught me a whole bunch of stuff. It's got beautiful, beautiful artwork. I just really think that I used it to its fill, and now I just need to find it a new home. Love that moon. Oh, so beautiful. But yeah, I feel like my time with it is done. And y'all, for as much as I use this deck, it is in fantastic condition. Like, there's barely a bow in it, if any at all. All the sides are great. Now it's not reversible, which doesn't really bother me much. But man, I'm just really shocked at how well this is kept up. I've had it for years. Another deck that did not make a huge splash this year was the Modern Witch Tarot. And not for lack of loving the images on this deck. Certainly not. It's beautiful. The colors are beautiful. I love the palette on this deck. But it is very modern, which is not always a bad thing. Sometimes I really like that kind of idea, but it's just not what I have a whole lot of. I love the diversity. I love so much about this deck. But, I mean, it's really hard to shuffle. And I don't know. I just don't find myself reaching for it like I want to reach for it. For as much as I loved it when I first got it, and I still do art-wise and diversity-wise, one of my favorite magicians. I just love her so much. Love this hermit as well. Love the references. All the court cards everything is amazing. I love the art itself, but it's just not one that I find myself using. So I don't know if this one's going to stay in my collection. Maybe if it was more enjoyable to shuffle, and more enjoyable to work with in that aspect, like in a tactile way, I think it would be completely different. But I don't know. Let's talk about some decks that I had set aside this year to modify, but I still haven't yet. Like, I had them set aside, and I just haven't gotten to what I wanted to do. So this is the Secret Forest Tarot. Again, one that I love for shadow work, but it also has a backside to it. So these are all in color. They're very, very textured images, but then they also have the black and white version on the back, which I usually don't tend to go to an incredible amount. but sometimes I can see what's going on a little better in the back end. And I did write some of their keywords on the back because I found them very interesting for some of the cards. I love the way that it was done. However, the more that I use this, the more I have a lot of trouble with the black edges. Not because they're black per se, but because I don't care for the yellow that it's written in, and I don't care much for like the colored bursts that's on there. It makes me not want to use the deck, so that's why I had it off to the side. I want to cut that off, maybe just write on the card itself and see how that feels to me instead. Because I do feel like this is such a wonderful deck, especially when I do shadow work. It's usually one that I go towards. But I just feel like if you take those off and you have just the image, it would just be so much more powerful. This is another one that I wouldn't mind taking the keywords and making this an oracle deck. Ooh, that might be a really good idea. I'm gonna have to see about that. Same here. I got Tarot of the Magical Forest from, well, Lisa had sent it to me from our friend Barb. I just want to shuffle this deck. Just because I love it. Okay, so I did start using this deck in 2021. Matter of fact, I did one of our bonding videos with it, which was, it was so much fun. It was so much fun to do that with you guys with this deck. But this is one that after I did that, after I played around with it, got to know it a little bit, I put it aside because I want to alter it. I want to modify this deck. I think I want to take all the edges off. I don't know if I would put anything on it. I might just leave them as is. I think it's pretty self-explanatory. It's very RWS. Very freaking cute. Oh my god. Little alligator. Anyway, this one also gives me just happy vibes. And it's another animal deck. Which, who'd have thunk it? But it is so fun. It's so fun. But I do have it off to the side to modify. So I think I'm going to do that and try to work with that this year. Up next, Fairy Lights Tarot. This is the one that matches, which I believe I do have a video that shows all the matches. If I remember, I'll link it below. This is a very beautiful deck. Look, I already started writing, but apparently I didn't write it in a very good pen. But I'm wondering why. Maybe I was just trying to trying to decide what I was trying to do. Because this is another one that I was considering doing a couple of things with. And I put it off to the side to modify. And I don't think I decided yet what I wanted to do. But I think this might be another one that I was like, you know what? I'd like to cut the top and bottom and make a small oracle deck with. And especially because these kind of like match in different spaces. If y'all want to know what I mean by that, like I said, I'll put the link below, but you see they match up. There's only two. It's not like a whole, what is it? Is it like Cosmovisions or something like that? Where the whole deck matches up? This is not like that. This is just two in the deck that kind of go together. It is very beautiful. And I was considering, like I said, either rehoming it or resetting it. But it looks like I already started kind of considering what keywords I would put on there. So I think I'm just going to try to alter it still. So I'm going to put this back in my modification pile, and we're going to see how that comes out this year. Another one. Look at these are so beat up. Like, between these and my fairy ones, they're, whew, the boxes are rough. This is the John Bauer Tarot. This is another one where I saw, I believe Dawn Michelle did this one too. where she cut off the tops and bottoms. And I think she created an oracle. But this one, I think I'd like to keep it a tarot. But I would like to modify it. And so I'm going to have to maybe play around with this. I had it, like I said, I had it set aside. I didn't use it this year. It was off next to my my other modified decks, or to be modified decks, and I just didn't get around to it. So I think I was going to go back there, and we are going to do that. Maybe we'll have a full modifying video, and we can just cut up a bunch of decks. Next up is my little, what they like to call the Tarot Nova. This is a copy of the first deck I ever got. But when I was young, it came in this fortune teller kit and had like a big book with it. And they're very simple little images. I really don't use this one much. If I decide to, I'll normally pull a card and put it on my altar. So it's like to hold space for me. But I don't really use this deck. This is solely for me to have, right? This is just one that it's like, well, I'll never forget it. And I was able to get my hands on it. And I was like, I want this back in my collection because it was the first one I ever had. And like, I kind of just want to pay homage to that. Next is Tarot of Durr. This one is out of print. I didn't use this one much this year. It is a really interesting deck. Now, mine I got off of eBay. It is very, very thin cardstock. It is very bent, as you can see. It is one of those that I love having. I don't use it a whole bunch, but every time I look at it, I get excited again. And that's because a lot of my research and a lot of what I did in Mystic Masters, including this image here, this image is based off of a piece of artwork, an etching done by Durr, and I used that image for my Knight of Cups. Because he's got this like nice little flag and it looked like a knight in shining armor. So like I can see a few of my own choices for Mystic Masters in this deck. And it, like I said, it's done in his style-ish, you know? Kind of like a nod to his work. So I don't know. I just find it really enjoyable. I'm glad I was able to get my hands on it. This is another one of those very masculine decks. I feel like I can read a lot of masculine energy with it. So I think it's really fun. I don't use it a whole bunch. I think because it's so thin and it is out of print. And I don't know. I didn't reach for it a whole bunch. But I still do really enjoy it. So I think this one is going to stay a little bit more. Like I said, it's like a little nod to one of my favorite master artists. Oh, sweet, sweet writer. Look, they're coming off now. It's done. This is my original RWS, the Rider Tarot deck. It's got these backs. This is the one that you can see me try and age with some ink. I made a whole mess, but I do like the way that it came out. I didn't use this one this year. Like I said, I normally go for my Centennial Edition, but I don't think that I'm going to part with my first rider because, I mean, it's the RWS. It was my classic, you know? Like, it's the one that I got. It was the staple in my collection for the longest time. So yeah, that's this one and its pieces. So let's move into the tarot that I have not yet worked with. So let's start out with this Lifeline Tarot. This is by Thomas of the Hermit's Mirror. This is a nice small little deck that is literally line art. Just a single line. And it is the RWS. It is very simplistic, black and white. I love the style. I think it's so unique. I just had so much fun flipping through this. I used it maybe once or twice, but I didn't get a chance to really like play with it a whole bunch this past year. So I'm hoping to do that this year and to see how I like it in my collection. I know that Thomas also made a Lenormand, which I was like, oh my god. And I think one that he added color to. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to link his stuff down below. It's just a fun deck. They also have a labyrinth card. Anyway, I think it was a spectacular idea. A great little kind of take on the RWS. And I'm here for it. Tempest Tarot deck is up next. I got this one at the end of the year. This is the one that I was talking about in our last video about the Dame Darcy Mermaid Tarot. This is the one that I feel is going to be my Mermaid Tarot, because it's like pirates and ships and lighthouses. There are maps and the swords and tentacles. I really love this deck. I love the illustrations, the style, the muted palette. It's literally all the things that kind of check my boxes, if you will. Look at this. Oh, the Inky Depths. This one makes me excited. Even if it's just a little pip deck, it's really exciting for me. I love the way that it was done. It still has some hints. Look at that tower. What? Oh my god. Oh my god. Anyway, this I think is going to be, look at that, with the ink. Oh man. This I really do think is going to be my tarot. It's got a little hermit crab with the hermit. Oh, y'all. I can't wait to work with this. I cannot wait. Like, a part of me is like, wait until summertime. And another part of me is like, nope. Do it now. Next is the Teeny Tiny Tarot. So I just showed this deck not long ago. This was my very first Kickstarter deck. Hooray! What am I doing here? Okay. I usually keep the title cards turned the opposite way. Okay. So I just got this deck in at the end of the year. The Kickstarter finished up. And I got, this one also came with the option of getting a little oracle that went with it, or a little divination deck that kind of went with it. I opted for just the tarot. It was so affordable. It is out of print right now, but if I am not mistaken, Holly is going to be doing a re-release of it. So I put the link down below so you can keep an eye on it. But yeah, speaking of eyes, we have eyes and needles. Again, I was a little disappointed with some of the court cards, but it's fine. I am excited to use it. Again, we have a muted, very minimal color palette, which is something that I really adore. I am curious to see how this goes up against the Mesquite Tarot. It makes me think of the Mesquite Tarot. And so I'm wondering, this one obviously has a little bit more of little kind of quirky, strange, like skulls and eyeballs in it. So there is a huge difference, because this one is way more quirky and way more kind of going their own way. But the Chariot sold me. Ugh. Anyway, they just kind of remind me of each other, and I'm wondering if I would pick one over the other. because I'm telling you, my Mesquite Tarot is not going anywhere. But I really love the quirkiness and the needles in this one. I'm excited to actually use it this year and see how it reads and see how I get along with it. Because like everything about it says that it's going to be one that I love. Up next is one of the last purchases that I made in 2021. The Somnia Tarot. Oh my god. So I immediately started using it. I really did. Matter of fact, I put it back in order so I could do a video for you guys. I think this is going to be a new favorite card deck of mine. Matter of fact, I'll redo it. Anyway, worth it. This is like no other deck I have in my collection. I am usually not one for photorealism and things like that in my deck, but this is magical. It's beautiful. I watched it being done and I let it slip through my fingers at first. I was like, oh, I really want it, but I didn't have the funds for it at that time. And I was like, well, maybe one day I'll be able to do it. And towards the end of the year, I was like, no, this is mine. I have to get it. And I am already just very obsessed with the whole vibe of this deck because, again, it feels like no other that I had because it's not one that I'd normally be drawn to, but because this one is so different. Like, there are no faces. I'm not seeing anyone's face. They're all, like, from the back or covered with cloaks or hats or, you know, just completely obscured in general. And it is beautiful work. Then we have my little majors only deck. This is one that I made ages and ages ago. I showed it on my channel back when I printed it out. This is my own little Harry Potter majors only deck. There are some already that looking at it, I'm like, I might redo. And some I'm like, oh my god, girl, you are so clever. Oh my goodness. I had so much fun putting this together. Gosh. Wow. Okay. Okay, sorry. I really want to revisit this and just kind of go through, just kind of making my own little deck like this to use and just like play around with. Especially now that I have the other two, which so many of you have reached out to me about those. And again, if you're interested in those other two Harry Potters that I showed in the latest video, by all means, send me a message, send me an email, or DM me on Instagram or whatever. And if you're interested, I'll definitely get you those links. I just don't want to post them on here just because of kind of licensing stuff. This is mine. So I'm not selling this one at all. So there's no ifs, ands, or buts when it comes to that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. Every time I go through this, especially after getting those two this last year, makes me want to like revisit and do something like that, maybe with you guys. I don't know. We'll see how that plays out. Anyway, the last few decks are decks that came to me at the end of the year from one of my friends. That same one that I was telling you about with the cat people and the Guild Tarot. These are some of the other ones that I have not yet dealt with. So we'll take a look at this. This is Tarot of the Golden Serpent. This is a major arcana. We have some strange vibes here. Very busy artwork. Very interesting. I have not really gotten a chance to even let these kind of sink in. I've looked through it, but not too much. Please, by all means, if anyone has these last few decks, let me know what you're thinking of them. This deck is nuts. You guys, Le Tarot de la Tapisserie. I guess that's how you say it. It is Tapestry Tarot. This one is huge, first and foremost. It is all in French. Very pointy edges. But this is the strangest deck I have ever seen, and I'm kind of obsessed with it. For whatever reason, it reminds me of Hereditary. I don't know why. I don't know why. But these were literally made by laying down materials in a tapestry-like setting and like creating the card. So it's like all tacked down fabrics. There's all kinds of texture, all kinds of really, really weird imagery, but I like it. It kind of creeps me out in the best way. I know this is strange and not for everyone, and I'm sure people would look at it and be like, this is a hard no for me. But there is something about the absolute quirkiness of this deck that I can't, like, look how terrifying that is. It's terrifying. Oh my god. Anyway, this was just the funnest deck. So when I opened this one, I saw this one, I was like, oh man, they're like baby doll faces. Oh, it's so weird. It's so creepy. I freaking love it. I love it. Again, none of these I've gotten a real chance to work with yet. Now this is, you see the name of it's on here. I can't remember. Handel? I think that's how you say it. The Handel Tarot. This is by Rachel Pollack. I don't know why these are split. Anyway, I just kind of started playing with this one when I got it in. I was like, I knew there was something. Hold, please. Yeah, when I got it in, oh, I love this Mother of Cups. Oh, love her. Anyway, this is one that I had never seen before. And I know some of you people are probably like, what? It is older. I was trying to see what, copyright 1990. So yeah, in the 90s. So, like I said, it's not new by any means, but I had never seen it. I never experienced it. And if I did, it completely split my mind. But there's so much to this deck. And like I said, I just kind of started messing with it. But in the same thread, with all of these little extra kind of Hebrew letters and things of that nature, it goes along with the Brotherhood of Light Egyptian Tarot that was also sent to me. Now, I have the little white book in here, but I was also sent, my friend sent me the big chunk monkey book that goes with this deck. And I am so interested in learning more. It's got a lot about the Kabbalah in it. And this is just kind of like, again, just a Pip style deck. It's nothing crazy, but there are all these references, not only zodiacal, but also, like I said, Hebrew letters, Kabbalic references. It's a huge book, and I'm really interested in what it's got to teach me. Speaking of that, I was also sent the Thoth deck. This is the big Mama Jamma. It has not been opened. I have not opened it yet. So again, these three decks are ones that I plan on using that big book for, really learning about the Hebrew on there and the zodiacal meanings and kind of getting into it. So I'm excited. And the last one that I got is the Mystical Dream Tarot. So again, we're going to talk about how this is a beautiful, huge booklet. I did not use this one at all last year. I did use it at the beginning of 2022. Beautiful big book, but we have the separated card thing and nobody likes that. We are not fans. So this deck goes its own way for sure. Almost all of, I say almost all, like a huge chunk of the major arcana is renamed. Very interesting take on the tarot thus far. I'm very interested to see how this will read. Just the little bit that I used it, and for the readings and spreads that I did earlier this year, I have found that some of it connects and some of it does not. So I am really interested to see how this is going to play out. It was on my list for quite a while, but I haven't really heard anyone talking about it much. But then again, I haven't really sought it out. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, it hasn't popped up in my face, but I haven't gone looking for it either. So I think that might be what I do before I start working on this, or working with this deck, is kind of see what everyone is saying, see if there's some good reviews, maybe see how other people are using it and what they're using it for. I just feel like there is an expansive place that they are trying to get to, but I don't know if I'm gonna like the way that it reads, because it does still feel very foreign to me. So I'm really interested to give this a try and see how I like it. The images are really nice. There are some of them that just jump off the page at me that I'm just like, this is awesome. And there are others where I'm just like, I don't know. So I'm really curious. Okay, the last little bit, this is kind of my extra stuff. So while this is considered a tarot and its sister is considered playing cards, I am going to say that it is a tarot-ish deck. So this is the Illuminated tarot cards. This is based on 53 cards. My cousin has this side. I have this side. Because it's our grandfather who read cards, so we both have an affinity for playing cards. So this is just a monochrome version. Sorry. She has the gold one. I have the navy. So hers is just opposite. And so it's just a monochrome. It's exactly this, though. So I'll put this one aside. And we'll take a look at this. So this deck is hella interesting because we have multiple aspects on some cards. Whereas, like, we can see this as the Eight of Swords, but we can also see this as Justice. I was going to put this like here. You can see the swords right here. But, I mean, you can see them this way as well. And then we have the Scales of Justice, and she is blindfolded here. This is the Chariot as well as the Seven of Swords. Then we just have, you know, Six of Diamonds, Seven of Diamonds. We have our Jack, our King, Queen. We do not have the Page in this deck. We just have our cat, because that's a cat. King, Queen, and Jack. Our 5. And these are really fun. I didn't know how much I would like the artwork on it, but I do. I really enjoy all of the line work and all of the colors that come into it. I like either one, honestly. The monochrome I use more as playing card style, and I use this one more as like a tarot style reading. But I think both are very useful. Love this. So we have Death and the Four of Swords here, which I love the kind of idea of rest and death at the same time. So anyway, these are super fun. These are ones that I don't use an incredible amount, but I still use throughout the year just because it has that kind of reading, that playing card aspect. And look right here, you can see our Two of Spades, so our Two of Swords idea with the Hanged Man. So again, very fun. Now I trimmed the hell out of these. They used to fit perfectly in this box, so they were huge cards that I trimmed all the way down. Have some of our plain cards. These I got to kind of expand upon some of my fortune telling aspects. I bought this one. This one is kind of brand new. It's got some muted colors that I really dig. So I'm going to use these to write on. This is my plain playing card deck. Literally just plain Jane, nothing special. And then this one, I started writing some things on, different aspects of kind of fortune telling idea on here. And then my last playing card deck, very, very carefully. This is not its cover, but it came in this cover to me. These are from the early 1900s, and these are the Nile playing cards. So, like, I even talk softer because they're so special and delicate. These are the Nile playing cards. You can see I have one that has a little missing side. No big deal. These are incredibly interesting. We have our life card that goes with it. I have been messing around with these all year. Ever since I got them, I had a really, really wonderful person on Instagram who is a playing card collector. They collect vintage playing cards. And they messaged me and was like, hey, I found one in a garage sale. And I bought it for like 50 cents. And it had the pamphlet. So they very sweetly sent the pamphlet for this to me. So I was so excited to have that. And so I have been messing around with this. Like, I still shuffle them. These are playing cards, man. I still shuffle them. And they're holding up really, really well. These were obviously taken care of. And they, like I said, they put them in this Trianon little box that were for other playing cards. But I'm keeping them in there because they are safe, and I keep them on my reading desk. And then we have these fortune telling playing cards. These are very interesting because they use every card in the deck. And we have like some extra jokers and the joker. But I found it very interesting that it has a meaning for every single one, whereas a lot of them you take cards out of the playing card deck in order to read cards. That's how my grandfather and his ancestors would read. They would take certain cards out of the deck. I'm thinking very Lenormand style, and would read that way. But these have it on every single one. Some are very Lenormand-esque. But I think it is absolutely fascinating, and I hope to be able to study this a little bit more and use this a little bit more with kind of my playing card readings this year, because there is just, I feel like every time I find something new, or, you know, come across a book or a pamphlet or something, that I learn another aspect of reading these playing cards in the same way. And so I find it fascinating, and I am always interested. My Lenormand. I have two Lenormand, if you will. I have the Easy Lenormand, which are vintage and beautiful, and they have the playing cards inside. There are these vintage muted colors. I love this Lenormand deck. It is my go-to. It is the one I've always used. This is the one that the second I saw it, I swear, I felt like I knew it automatically. Like, I just knew what to do. It was, I don't know, it was like magic, if you will. But I was certainly tempted and got my hands on James R. Eads' Green Glyph Lenormand. Y'all, the rose petal finish, I'm pretty sure that's what it is on this one, is wowzas. Now, you'll see I have a couple of cards taken out. There are extra cards in this Lenormand where you can kind of take whichever ones that you want. But look at this palette. Look at this. Oh my god. I am usually pretty satisfied with my one and only Lenormand, But this caught me. And I was like, oh my God, look at those fall tones. We got those burnt oranges. We got those greens. I need this. And they have these cute little playing cards set inside, which I always love. Oh, it's so beautiful. So yeah, those are my... Oh, I have one more. Hold. I was sent this one. This is a fortune-telling deck. This is a Kipper deck. I don't know how to say that. Fin de Cycle? I don't know how to say that. But I have never used a Kipper deck. It seems very similar to Lenormand, but I have not used it. So I don't know. Like, I'm definitely going to read a little bit about it in the guidebook. See how it all works out. It does seem similar. It's got, of course, some different stuff, which kind of reminds me of my other little fortune-telling deck. Oh, I can't think of it right now. I'll show it in my Oracle video. But it does have like some very different cards. So I have not used it. This is one, again, that my friend sent me. And I've never used before. So I'm interested to see what it's all about. So anyway, that's it. That is my whole tarot collection, as well as kind of those little niche decks that kind of don't fit in Oracle. We only have Oracle left. I'm going to try to get it all into one video, and that will be all of our 2021 collection. Hooray! So thanks for watching, you guys. We did it! We made it through tarot! So, yeah. Oracle is up next, but we got this. We're doing this. Okay. So, I am excited to be wrapping this up because my space, if you watched my unboxing of the Mindful Soul box, I gave you a sneak peek at what my shop looks like behind the scenes right now. It is chaos. But it's getting better. Slowly and slowly it's getting better. So one round left and then we can move on to 2022 things. So yeah, we'll see each other very soon, I am sure. I'm sending you all my love. Mwah! Later, Gators!